going over the rest of these cards. So, what do we have? Okay, so all the cards are out now, so I guess I'll just go over them quickly, even though I've been over a lot of them already. Dragon Color Alana, I like, right? They're incentivizing with all the mage cards to play big spells, and this one's among them. You're basically late game going to have a board full of 5/5s when you summon this. So that's what? 6/5/5 dragons? That's 30/30 plus her. That's amazing, right? Dragonfire Potion doesn't clear them. That's amazing. Great legendary. And you're going to see that theme in this set over and over again. The cards that are epic, the cards that are legendary are amazing. So when we open them on Thursday on release day, you can probably make a pretty good deck with them. Just use your high rarity cards. Now the problem is that the best decks are going to have tons of them, more than you can open for $50 or even $100 probably, which is unfortunate. But yeah, they're going to be great cards. Now this epic, 9 mana 2/4 Recruited Dragon. This one I think is just weak, but we're going to have to see how strong Recruit is. It's the new mechanic, this expansion, and you know, pulling your Ysera, your Malagos or something could be good, but it is at the end of your turn, so your enemy would still get to deal with it, right? You're running an extra card that does the same effect as the dragon you already want. I don't like it. Master Oakheart. Recruit at 1, 2, and 3 attack minion. Now that's cool because you can specifically build your deck around this guy. It's weak, again, but not as weak as this guy, that's for sure. Not as weak as this guy, and recruits 3 minions instead of 1. Pretty much strictly better, and voila, luck there, it's got the higher rarity. There's some pretty great 3 attack minions. They showed it off in the reveal stream yesterday, where you could summon the new 8 mana Druid card. You can summon the new 9 mana Warlock card. You can summon an old 9 mana Druid card that resummons all the taunts. So there's power packed minions in that 3 attack slot now that cost at least 9, 8 or 9. So you presumably get him work, right? Like if I got him, I'd try and make a deck with him. I'm not sure it'd be the most powerful thing, right? We'd rather have Alana already of the ones we've looked at, but it could be fun. Nobody thought Prince Keleseth was going to be played. Who could make a deck without 2 drops? That's silly. And you do have to give up good cards, but it ended up being worth it. It could be a card like that. Sleepy Dragon. 9 mana 4/12 taunt. I mean, it's a big dragon. It's got the taunt, but it doesn't do anything, right? It's really important when you have this gigantic dragon, right? Like something you'd want to summon from the Dragon Hatcher, that it do something, right? Give you Ysera cards, give you +5 spell power, change somebody's HP to 15, or the other stuff the powerful dragons do. This guy just doesn't have it, right? 4 attack is good against priests, sure, but you're going to have to attack them forever with this thing to kill them, right? Their base hero power heals for 2. So like, this thing isn't going to kill them. You buff its attack, then it's vulnerable. It's not enough. Let me try and read what you guys are saying some. Has kick-started my biological clock. It's kicked the poo out of it, that's for sure, Altana. It doesn't know where it's at. Biological clock doesn't know where it's at. Oh, well, see, yeah, I'll fix that for sure. I just got back to figuring that stuff out today. So I posted on Twitter that I'd be live tonight, and I updated the title from the 24-hour stream and stuff like that. Thanks for the reminder, yeah. I'll make sure to work on my description stuff tomorrow. It should still be at the top, though. It should be in the banner. That's when we go to gameplay, right? No, it's in the banner here right now. At the top of the stream, you should be able to see your donation. And it comes out on Thursday, right? Okay. Void Lord. This is one of those guys that Master Elkhart can summon. 3-attack minion. It's got the stats of 3 Void Walkers. It's got 3 Void Walkers inside of it. It's just a bunch of taunts. An incredible amount of taunts. Probably pretty good, right? Just with the demon tag, you can get it back with the Warlock DK, and then you're going to get back all these other demons it's summoning as well. So by running 1 card, you get 4 resurrects with your DK. Pretty sweet value. I'd run it in my control Warlock. Rune Spear, 8 mana, Shaman Legendary. Clown Fiesta, 3/3 is pretty weak. Discover a spell and cast it with random targets. Lots of spells you don't want random targets on. So bad. Woe Cleaver, same stats. This is the Warrior Legendary. After your attacks, recruit a minion. Now, if Control Warrior is viable, which it might be, and you can run all, 8+ cost minions, that's good. That's good. You have a weapon that can hit things, and you're just summoning gigantic creatures from your deck every turn. That's powerful. Is it more powerful than like the Warrior DK, right? That weapon has more attack, cleaves the minions adjacent to it, but it doesn't recruit. A lot of it comes down to how good recruit's going to be. And we'll be testing that, right? We're going to be testing that later in the week. The other Warrior Legendary, Geosculptor, yep. Summon a random minion with cost equal to your armor up to 10. At the end of your turn is always a more powerful effect than at the start of your turn, because the opponent can't stop you from doing it at least once. So hey, free 10 drop, threatening to pull another one. 8 health. It's good value, good card. This one is more unconditionally good than the weapon. If I was looking for a Warrior Legendary, I'd want Yip first. Grand Archivist. End your turn, cast a spell from your deck. Target is chosen randomly. It's like Rune Spear, right? This random BS I don't want. Don't like it. Grizzled Guardian. Taunt, Death Rattle, recruit 2 minions that cost 4 or less. So this is another synergy with Master Elkhart there. You could pull this giant guy out, which is kind of like the Void Lord. Gigantic guys that summon more minions with Taunt. Druid has more 4-cost taunts now that they can play as well. So, very annoying guys here. Very annoying Death Rattle guys that summon taunts. Might be worthy of running silences in the new meta. Katharina Winterwisp. Battlecry and Death Rattle, recruit a beast. Again, recruit tag. This one's more specific though, right? Rather than recruiting any minion, it's like this one. Recruit a dragon. And look how much they valued this tag for, where you recruit a specific minion. They made it a 2/4/9 mana. This guy's less mana and a ton more stats, and it doubles up. It does it twice. So this one is like so many times better than this guy. Katharina might actually be good. You have to run all big beasts, but why not? Why not try it? Hunter's been having trouble recently, so it'd be fun to play around with Hunter. Control Hunter. King Togwaggle, swap decks with your opponent. They get a 5-mana ransom spell to swap it back, so it doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean much. It's understated already, so you're like paying for them to pay the mana back. If they even want to swap decks with you, in theory, you're both running good decks, so it doesn't even matter. So why are you playing a weak minion? Just a meme card. No good. See what you guys are saying. The dragon is sleepy. Let's see. Is he sleepy? Oh yeah, yes. Heck yeah, yes. Oh. Okay. Marin the Fox has already been out. Summon a treasure chest for your opponent. Turns out giving your opponent minions not that good. Violet Worm. Look at their spelling on worm. That's the first thing to note here, right? It's not the American spelling, W-O-R-M. Nor is it like the British spelling, right? W-Y-R-M. It's W-U-R-M. It's kind of offensive Blizzard language there. So I don't like that about it. But its stats are actually good. It's got the beast tag. It's a 7/7. Sure, that's not that strong, but the death rattle summons 7 1/1s. Usually in constructors you can clear that, but in arena it's amazing. Just like Onyxia is amazing. And it's a common, so it'll appear a lot in the arena. Good arena card. Roque Dalar, 7 mana, 4/2. Weak weapon stats again. If your deck has no minions, fill your hand with hunter spells. I guess they want you to run an all-spell hunter. Boy, I'm even less of a fan of this than I was of the Rune Spear. Because this one's requiring you to have no minions, which is a pretty serious restriction. And it just fills your hand with hunter spells. This one at least casts the spells immediately. Yeah, that's bad. Crushing Walls, 7 mana removal. Has never really been played much. I mean, you have Twisting Nether, which is played, but because it destroys everything. Just everything. Not this conditional stuff that is play aroundable. Spellstones. Priest, resurrect 2 different friendly minions, cast 4 spells to upgrade. I mean, casting 4 spells as a priest isn't tough, but if you're running that type of deck, you're usually not running very many minions. It's okay. Same with the warrior one. Summon a mithril golem, equip a weapon to upgrade. Not that difficult to equip a weapon, but our 5/5 golem's going to win you the game? Probably not. The main problem I have with these high cost ones is that they cost 7 to begin with. So you're always tossing them away in your mulligan. You're tossing them away, and then when you draw them, you have to do these upgrade effects after you draw them in order to upgrade them. So it's very slow. Too slow for the current meta, at least. Same here. You have to draw this one, and you have to overload a bunch, and then you have to get un-overloaded to cast this, and summon copies of things that you cast while overloaded. Just not very feasible. This one, Psychic Scream, shuffle all minions into your opponent's deck. That's good, right? You can purposely give them bad minions if you want to meme, and you can just clear everything, right? Doesn't matter what they've got. It's all gone. It's all gone. It's a cheaper Twisting Nether. All gone. Priest OP. OP. Some of these cards are so objectively better than others that do the same thing. Seems weird. Yeah, they sort of do that with the rarity Altana. They make the rare cards better, and then they just power creep with each expansion. So we see the power level on some of these cards be 2 to 3 times as strong as previous ones. Corridor Creeper, 7 mana 5/5, beast. Cost 1 less whenever a minion dies while this is in your hand. This is an interesting effect, because it's whenever a minion dies for either player. So anything dies, this gets cheaper. So while this does have to sit in your hand for at least a turn to get cheaper, it can get a lot cheaper, right? If you run this in a hunter with Unleash the Hounds, you unleash 5 hounds, you trade them into a couple things, this is free. This is free the same turn as you unleash. It can see play. It can see play. It's something that gets major discounts like that. This is a sneaky little pick. A sneaky little one that's pretty good, especially in Arena. Lanessa's OP. Cast every spell this game. Every spell you've cast this game is going to buffer. So you just have to run a couple good spells. Even just one Spakeridge Steed makes her worth it. So, yeah, just run a couple good spells. She's an auto include. I hope I open her for sure. Paladin needs help, and she's some help. Silver Vanguard, recruit an 8-cost minion. It's very interesting as a death rattle. That's what makes this card interesting. It has very weak stats because, like, the recruit they're saying is very powerful, right? That's the statement Blizzard's making by making all these recruit things have really terrible stats. And this one, you get to sort of choose, right? You play it, your enemy gets to choose. Do I trade into that? Do I risk pulling an 8-drop minion out? What is it? And if they don't, you can still trade it in and then get your 8-cost pop on the board immediately. That's an interesting one. I don't think it's powerful enough to constructed play, but it depends on recruit. Temporis. Another one where it's like, I don't know if it's good enough. 7 mana, 6/6. Your opponent takes 2 turns first, then you take 2 turns. How often do you die during their 2 turns? Right? You can make a deck that probably wins most of the time, if not all the time, when you take 2 turns. But how often does your opponent kill you? And it's going to take some testing, but I'd certainly be willing to test with it if I opened it. Right? It's not the best legendary in the set, but it is a good meme. They give any info on what recruit means? Is it different from summoning it to the board to hand? It's just summoning it to the board. It just comes down to the board, so it misses its battle cry effect, right? So if you summoned Lanessa, it would be a 1/1 if you recruited it. So that would be terrible. That would just be terrible. So that's why it's like you really got to see how recruit works. You got to build a deck around it with very specific cards, and maybe it's good. Hearthstone's never had the mechanic before, but yeah, it just spills it onto the board and you don't get the effect, the battlecry effect. So right, you spill this guy onto the board, it doesn't do any of this stuff. Nobody's taking extra turns. Alanath is mage. At the end of your turn, draw 3 cards. Again, at the end of the turn, effect is good. The opponent can't stop you from drawing at least 3 cards. If it sticks around, it just keeps doing that. So it's pretty much a must ooze after it's already given them value. It's a good weapon. Valenier, Paladin. Give a minion in your hand +4/+2 on its death rattle. So after you swing it twice, buffs a minion. And when that minion dies, you re-equip it. So it's technically infinite value, but if anybody silences the minion that it's on, it's gone. So there's that. It's stuff like this that is going to make people run silence, right? Stuff like the Valenier with the Lanessa, just a nightmare. A nightmare in combo as well. You're going to have some silence in there. What else did we say was, like, really needed to be silenced? Oh, these guys, right? These taunt, death rattle, high cost, summon minions. You just shut down all that shenanigans. Say, nope, I'm silence you. I'm going face. Warrior, 6. Look at this. 6 mana. This isn't a minion, you guys. This is just 6 mana spell. You just use it to recruit. This is one of those, again, Altana, where you're saying some of these cards are obviously so much worse than the others. Look at this one. This is 6 mana recruit, and the weapon, which is also for warrior, is 8 mana. You get the 3/3 weapon, and it recruits 3 times. Yeah, I'll take the Woe Cleaver over the Gather Your Party. That's a no-brainer. Not very good. Speaking of not very good, this Hunter one to my side, summon an animal companion, or 2 if your deck has no minions. So is right along with the poor Hunter, man. The poor Hunter high rarity cards are just bad, because they're requiring your deck to have no minions, to have any effect at all. This is another one of those. There's already spells in the game that summon 1 animal companion for 3. Once it summoned 3 animal companions for 9. So that this has a requirement and isn't any stronger than the existing cards is a joke. It's not a pick. So like Discover was an awesome mechanic to the game Altana because it put 3 cards on your screen you get to pick from, right? That's why I joke that the Dragon Priest has is to summon a Vile Spine from the opponent's deck because it chooses 3 cards from the opponent's deck. And I think it's 3 different cards as well. So that's a very strong mechanic. Recruit is random. Yeah. If you've got more than one 8-drop or more than one 3-attack mania or something, you're just going to be praying that it pulls the right one from your deck. Yeah, just random. Secret Hunter is surprisingly strong on ladder. You should try it. Okay, Justice, welcome. Welcome this evening. I do want to be playing some secrets again in my Hunters. For sure. I always loved Freezing Trap back in the day. Hunter was my first golden class. And it was good. It would be really strong. I mean, it's in line with the other spells, though. It's in line with the other spells. But yeah, it's more, I think, a way of them forcing people to run only spell hunters, which is like, it feels like it's really gimping them, right? You already give them a hero power that doesn't affect the board, and then you're saying they can't run minions that affect the board either? So you got a useless hero power and useless spells. Like, it's a really weird archetype. It's a really weird archetype. The Spellstone gives you wolves. That's true. They showed that off in the reveal stream yesterday. They showed off a minionless hunter. But what I do want to caution is never take too seriously those reveal streams, right? They've got developers behind both sides of that match, right? They came up with all the decks so that they'd be well balanced to show match and show off the new cards. But that doesn't mean those cards will be powerful. I made the mistake when they did the show match for Knights of the Frozen Throne this last time. I was like, oh man, the Death Rattles look strong. I should craft Spirit Seeker Umbra, because she was in the show match that they showed off a couple days before the expansion release. She was in one of those decks and performed well. It turns out I haven't been able to use her ever. She was never in the actual meta because it was too weak. It was just good in the show match. So you can get trapped by that. They're like, oh man, there's an all-spell hunter. I need to need to craft whatever the epic spells are so that I can make that deck. It might not be any good. Just because it was in the show match doesn't mean anything. I'm around 11 right now with a cheap Secret Hunter. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah, Hunter and Warlock are in general the cheapest decks you can make if you're a free-to-play player and do really well on the ladder. Aggro Druid is another one right now that works really well. Congratulations. Yeah, I want to get back to running some Secret Hunters. If we have time a little bit later, I'd like to run a deck like that. If you'd link it in the chat for me, that'd be fun to run tonight. Unidentified Shield. Gain 5 armor. Gain a bonus effect in your hand. The bonus effects are things like. Let's just look at it. Gain 10 more armor. Deal 5 damage. Summon a golem. Equip a weapon. Now, if it did all that, it would be like Ultimate Infestation, and we'd be mega broken. But it doesn't. It just does one of them at random. Each time you play the game, it's going to be a different effect. Which makes it a bit uncontrollable, right? Like, if you needed an extra weapon, wouldn't you just run an extra weapon in your deck than relying on a 1 and 4? Same idea with removal and armor and stuff. Like, if you actually need that stuff, you probably shouldn't be relying on this card to give you a 1 and 4. I don't think it does enough, right? Like this is probably the most vanilla one because you're always gaining 5 armor. And I'll say you're just putting a 5/5 on the board. It's like the old Shield Maiden, where you used to have a Shield Maiden that I think did this exact thing. So again, they're taking the power level back to an old card. They're rotated out. It was played, but like, is something that was played 3 years ago good now? I don't know. It's right on the edge of being good enough. And I think the randomness is going to knock it out, just because you can't even count on it to have that effect or any of the others. Crystal Lion, 6 mana 5/5 Divine Shield, costs 1 less for each Silver Hand recruit you control. You know, if Justicar Trueheart was still in the game, this might get some value. You Hero Power, get 2 dudes. This immediately costs 4, and is worth it. With having to run some other card that generates multiple recruits, I'm not sure it is. But I could be wrong about this one, right? If there's some other card that's spamming out 2-3 recruits at a time, this is obviously worth it. The discount is just good. Gem-studded Golem. Taunt can only attack if you have 5 or more armor. 5/9. I think it's big enough. To see play, right? It fits in the Quest Warrior, the Taunt Warrior. It fits with the armor things, right? That one we just showed gives you at least 5 armor. Yeah, 9 health. 9 health is the big thing you're looking at here, right? It's more health than a Bog Creeper. And it's less mana, and Bog Creepers sometimes see constructed play. So I think it's healthy enough to see play in those taunty control warriors. Yeah. And in this type of decks, it's like, it's not, let's say it can't attack, it's still got to be hit into because it has taunt. It still has value in a control warrior, and eventually you'll get that armor. Grumble was weird. I don't think it's good in Evolved Shaman, but I think this effect is good in Elemental Shaman, which it synergizes with. A lot of the elementals have battle cry damage, and so having that battle cry damage available for 1 cost can really help you have the board. I like it in Elemental Shaman. Hungry Yettin, Force 10. Again, I think it has enough health to see play. Even summoning a random 2-cost minion for your opponent. None of the 2-cost minions are insane, I guess, with the exception of the Poisonous Snail. Right? The Poisonous Snail trades with this, and then you feel terrible. But I'm pretty sure there's enough 2-cost minions in the game at this point where at the end of a rotation, right? Where it's like a 1 in 300 or something. It might not be enough to dissuade you from playing this. But yeah, it's just a rare. And so they don't think it's that powerful. Blizzard doesn't. This is the worst legendary in the set, Rin. I apologize already to anybody who opens Rin on Thursday. Rin is so bad. You basically have to spend 40 mana over many turns for it to have any effect. And that's basically what the text says. It says, Death Rattle, spend 10 turns to get any payback. Any reward off this card. Man, if I get that, I might have to dust it just to prove a point. Just to be like, no, Blizzard, no. I guess I'll show you guys it. It's just, yeah. You gotta keep spending 5 mana every time you get one of these stupid things. And they start out summoning a 2/2 for 5. 3/3 for 5, 4/4 for 5, 5/5 for 5. None of these are good. None of these are good mana points for these. And you've already spent 6 on this 3/6 thing. It's so bad. And then even after you're done playing all these seals, you get a 10 mana creature, which you have to go and play that. It destroys your opponent's deck, and then you have to run them out of the cards that are in their hand. And this doesn't have taunt or anything. Like, it's... Wow, it's one of the worst cards they've ever made. Magma Rage, your tier. Seeping Oozling. 6 mana, 5/4. Gain the death rattle of a random minion in your deck. I don't know if you can make it work. I don't know if Death Rattle Hunter is going to be reliable enough. Even running N'Zoth doesn't run a Death Rattle. This thing doesn't have a Death Rattle. If you're running 2 of it, you're just going to whiff on this effect sometimes. Then you've got a 6 mana, 5/4. It feels bad, man. It's what you pay for having a random effect. Same thing here. Reveal a spell from your deck. Summon a random minion with the same cost. Okay. Even though this says random minion, this one's better than this one. Because you can run just high cost spells and then get high cost minions. And they're usually going to be pretty good. I don't mind this card. I'd try it out if I open it. Skull of Minari. At the start of your turn. Bad text. Be wary of any card that says this, you guys. At the start of your turn, summon a demon from your hand. It's powerful if no one's running weapon removal. But who are we kidding? People are going to have weapon removal. So, unlike the mage one, which is going to draw them 3 cards no matter what, because it's the end of the turn, this weapon can end up being 5 mana, do nothing. 5 mana, give your opponents a target to tempo out their ooze. Not good. This one, Deck of Wonders. Shuffle 5 scrolls into your deck. When drawn, cast a random spell. And this is, we learned from the show match yesterday, any spell in the game. It's like Yogg-Saron. So you can pull Rogue Secrets, Hunter Secrets, Paladin Secrets, Doom, Pyroblast, anything you want out of here. Anything you want out of here. But that can be a problem, right? What if you're casting Elemental Destruction or Volcano, that type of thing, right? Even worse, what if you had like a Hydra on the board? What if you're devolving your Antonidas? Or... Not all of it's possible, but it's a Clown Fiesta. It's a Clown Fiesta thing. Unfortunately, all of the mage like archetype that's coming out with this expansion is this random spell stuff. And so I think it is going to be the deck that's played a lot. It's completely a random mage. And so we'll have to see, how lucky they get on an individual game with their scrolls. And it's definitely going to be down to RNG. It's not going to be due to player skill. Random stuff coming out. Not a fan. I'm not a fan. But could be powerful. Right? Here's another one. Reveal a spell from your deck. Deal damage equal to its cost to all minions. Both sides of the board. Doesn't matter. It's blowing everything up. More Cloud Fiesta. This one you at least choose when you cast it. You choose when you cast it, and you do have a choice over the size of the spells in your deck. So, it is better than this card. And a Spellstone for Hunter. Summon 2 3/3 wolves. Play a secret to upgrade. Okay, Secret Hunter. Right? We have Injustice in here tonight, who's repping the Secret Hunters. And I want to try it, for sure. You can put this into a minion deck just fine. You just have more minions and secrets. Get your Eaglehorn bow upgraded. I like it. The Rogue one destroys a random enemy minion. So you have to compare this to Vile Spine. This is the same mana, and it's a worse effect, right? Because Vile Spine gets to target an enemy minion. This is random. So you have to play at least 3 Death Rattle cards to upgrade it for it to be of any value. Even if it destroys 2, I'm not sure it's better than having the 3/4 targeted Vile Spine effect. So you could be running a very heavy Death Rattle rogue in order to get use out of this. Not a fan. Same thing with level up here. You have your Silverhand recruits +2/+2 in taunt. They're still small. They've still got 3 attack or whatever. Get wiped out by most of the AoEs in the game. It's just weird too, right? Like, most of the time, are they going to need taunt? If you've been able to build a board of hero power guys, of little dudes, you're probably winning that game. Like, so the buff would be good, but taunt? Don't like it. Arcane Tyrant costs 0 if you've cast a spell that costs 5 or more this turn. Very cool, very cool. It's an incentive for playing high-cost spells, and it's free, and it's an elemental. Who doesn't like free cards? Carnivorous Cube, very cool. Battlecry, destroy a friendly minion. You can use that to take a strong minion that's already traded and refresh its health. You can do it to destroy a minion with a Death Rattle that you want that Death Rattle triggered on anyway. And then you're getting 2 copies back when this thing dies. It's got both Battlecry and Death Rattle. Super powerful. Very cool little guy there. Corrosive Sludge, another ooze. Just in case people can't get enough oozes against all the legendary weapons in this set, they added another one. So you've now got the ooze that adds armor, equal to the weapon's attack. You got the base game's ooze, and you have this new common ooze, so everybody's going to have this one as well. That just destroys your opponent's weapon. So yeah, hell yeah. Just run all the oozes if it's a weapon meta, which it looks like it will be, at least for the first few days. Load your corrosive sludges into your decks, guys, while you're experimenting, and you're gonna hit a lot of opponents' weapons with it. It'll be a good time for you. Fungalmancer, give adjacent minions +2/+2, not powerful enough. 5 mana 2/2, it hits 1, it's a 5 mana 4/4. No. Right, Dark Iron Dwarf is a 4 mana 4/4 that buffs +2 attack as well. This is at the hero power of like Dark Iron Dwarf, and if it's 2, it might be power creep dwarf. And that's the best it can ever do. No, not worth. For Bulk, Mossbinder, 5 mana 1/1, transform a friendly minion into a 6/6 elemental. It's okay if it has that effect. But there's already a minion, right? The little friend guy. The guy that summons a 1/1, he summons a 6/6 ogre. He's 1 more mana, but you get all those stats. You don't have to transform one of your other minions, and you're not relying on having board already. So that's bad. Green Jelly. At the end of your turn, summon a 1/2 ooze with taunt. At the end of your turn, good keyword. 5 mana 3/3, pretty bad. This is an interesting one though, because the ooze has taunt, and it's an end of the turn effect. So let's say you're, in a top deck war against an aggro deck that has something like a Bittertide Hydra out. It can never attack this minion, because it's always summoning the 1/2 oozes that their giant minion has to hit into. So it's like one of the best blockers in the game against a giant minion. Still think its stats are too weak to see constructed play, but there could be games where that goes off and is awesome. Hey, Prince Adam, thank you for the subscription, man. I know you're still streaming over there, man. Congratulations, you guys. Adam is doing a 24-hour stream as we speak, so we'll be hosting that when we're done here tonight. And we'll go cheer him on for sure. Oh, Altana's passing out. All right, bud. I might have to end up playing one day. Now's a good time to play. First day is the best day to play of a new expansion, and a few days later. What if you summon 2 carnivorous cubes? So if like you ate your other cube, let's reason it out. So it eats the other cube as the battle cry, but its death rattle resummon the cube. So whatever was in the first cube would immediately pop out, and out of the second one would only pop the first cubes. It wouldn't like still have a death rattle. The only cubes that have the death rattle, I believe, are the ones that eat something, not the ones that pop out. So it wouldn't be as good as you think to cube your cube, to cube squared. This expansion just seems like the cards are either really good or straight up trash. It always takes some play, Wellesley. Like, I used the example earlier where cube squared. Yeah, that would be a good one. Good night, man. It seems that way, but like again, the princes, right? Prince Keliseth and stuff didn't see play for like a month or two, or not much play, and now it's in like priest decks and stuff because it sees play everywhere. So there can be cards that are deceptively both good and bad. That's part of the fun of doing the reviews, right? Almost every streamer these days in Hearthstone does these card reviews because you see how wrong you are or how right you are, and it's good to bet on them because there's cards almost every time that catch everybody by surprise. So it's fun to do. That's why we experiment, right? That's why there's so many bad decks for the first week of an expansion. So everybody's like, oh, this is going to be really good, and it's not really good. Okay. Guild Recruiter, 5 mana, 2/4. Again, like this keyword actually scares me, the recruit, because every single minion that has it is extremely weak, meaning that the effect is extremely powerful. So we'll see how good Recruit is. It's one that we're gonna have to test. Recruit a minion that costs 4 or less, similar to the other Druid card. Where was it? Yeah, recruit 2 minions that cost 4 or less. There's synergy going on there with the 4 cost cards. Speaking of Druid, their legendary minion is an elemental. A 2/4 elemental, weak stats, but we already know how this effect works, and it's super strong. After you play a minion, summon a copy of it. So you're getting a 2/4, and it's a permanent effect. In other words, you have to kill this guy. Those are the minions that almost always make it for constructed play, is ones that have to be removed or the opponent is screwed. So he's good. He's one of the ones we're hoping to open. Possessed Lackey, 5 mana, 2/2. Even weaker than Ixalit, right? It's even weaker. And is it better? Recruit a demon. Death Rattle? No, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, it's cool if you've got like Doom Guards in your deck, and you get to recruit them to the board for free, and they've got charge. That's pretty darn sweet, actually. That's pretty darn sweet. You know, this might not be a bad card. You get the other guy, the Despicable Dreadlord, and he immediately starts, AoEing the board as well. You get the Void Lord guy who's new, and he just taunts for eternity. He's an eternity of taunts in 1 minion. Could be more powerful than I'm giving it credit for. This would be one to try. And he's only a rare, so almost anybody's going to be able to try this. And Warlock. Trog Gloom Eater. Taunt Poisonous. That's annoying. That's really annoying, you guys. It costs too much, right? You're basically paying 5 mana for the 5 health. Because that's all that matters on a poisonous minion. Especially a poisonous taunt. And I don't think that's enough health. You give this thing 7 or 8 health, and it's super scary. It still dies to the same removal, because it's 1 attack. But if minions have to go through it, then it's a real pain. With 5, yeah, maybe you have to trade with it. But, no. The opponent wins if they just trade 1 minion into this. Because it's like they have a better minion, right, that can actually attack. In the games where this isn't very good. Windshear Stormcaller. If you control all 4 basic totems, summon Alakir the Windlord. Super powerful effect, but they tried to show this off in the show match, and the opponent even had like all totem synergy, and they had mana tied up for most of the game, drawing all the cards they wanted, and they still just played this minion as a 5 mana 5/5 because they could not get all 4 totems up at the same time. Your board just gets very full when you're trying to do that, which means you don't have any attack, you don't have any pressure. So even if Alakir comes out, it's just, yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to work from what we saw yesterday. But it's cool when it does. I'd try and make it work if I get it. Twig of the World Tree. This is the weapon that immediately I would say, okay. So we weren't winning with Jade Druid before, but this will get us to Legend within a couple days. Yeah. In fact, I might say if we open this on Thursday, we'll get to Legend on Thursday. What about that? What about that for a prediction? Twig of the World Tree is super OP. It's pretty much immune to ooze. If you replace it with the Medivh weapon, voila. You've got Medivh, you've got Atiyesh, you've got 10 mana crystals. The world is your oyster. Super strong. That's the most blatantly strong card I think I've seen in this set. Excuse me. Branching Paths. Choose twice. I like it. It gives you the Discover options twice. You can do pretty much anything you want. If you want to draw cards, you do that. If you want to gain armor, you do that. If you want to buff your board, you do that. One of those is almost always going to be good. Just a good card. If it works with Fandral, even better. Call to Arms. Recruit 3 minions that cost 2 or less in Paladin. I'm interested that this card is so cheap. The Recruit is paid such a mana penalty. This is Recruit 3. I guess it's highly dependent on how much mana the minions cost. But this is specific too, right? You might not run that many minions that are 2 or less. And you get exactly those ones. If Recruit is good, if Recruit ends up being very good, this is going to be one of the strongest ones. You just pull all your trash that you don't want to draw out of your deck. And it doesn't even have to be trash. That Righteous Protector, right? It has Taunt, it has Divine Shield. That can be good late game. It just is blockers, right? For big minions from the opponent. Allow you to push for lethals. I like that one if Recruit's good. Cataclysm is 4 mana Deathwing without the 12/12. Not much else to say about it. It is a discard mechanic in Warlock, so you can actually get some of your hand back. If you have the Legendary that discards and recharges itself, you can get Silver Golems into the board. You can redraw your hand if you have Malchezaar's Imp out. So it's considerably good. It's considerably good. Anytime you have four totems, you can evolve. That's true too. That's true. You have to draw him. And he's the only thing that can replace the weapon. Isn't that kind of weak? Oh, you're talking about the weapon again. Yeah, because I made such a bold statement about it. Well, think about it like this. If the opponents are running oozes, which they probably should, they're locked in the opponent's hand. They can't play it, because as soon as they play it, they give you 10 mana crystals. So you're locking your opponent out of options by playing it. And just playing it, right, it doesn't override your hero power. It gives it more power. So your hero power now does 2 damage. Or if you're in Malfurion mode, it does 4. So it's like a 5 attacks worth of bonus hero power that whenever it dies, right, even if you run it out of charges, it's going to completely refresh your crystals, right? And if you're hitting with this over 5 turns, you're going to be at 10 mana already, and you're just going to get a 20 mana turn on that turn, right? Because you spend your mana crystals, you kill this thing off, boom, you're full mana again. The key word is that it's full crystals. It's not empty mana crystals. So even after you've all the way ramped, this is still Kun value. Kun the Forgotten King, which is already being run in Druid decks. So it gets around the weapon meta while still having a super powerful effect, whether you Medivh it or not. Medivh's the most OP thing you can do, because then you're, immediately have mana crystals to use the Atiyesh, and you immediately ramp to 10 as well. But if you don't have it, you have a buffed hero power, and you have a delayed Kun effect. And you keep the opponent's oozes in their hand. This is good. Okay. Flanking Strike. Deal 3 damage to a minion, summon a 3/3 wolf. I guess it gets run in the All Spell Hunter. I'd put that in if I was building an All Spell Hunter. Otherwise, it's like most of the other Hunter spells, not great on their own. I'd rather have, like, Houndmaster in this slot, which is stronger than the 3/3 wolf. Buffs and taunts my beasts, which have charge damage because they were already on the board before the Houndmaster. Yeah. So weaker than vanilla minions in a minion deck. Lesser Amethyst Spellstone for Warlock. Lifesteal. Deal 3 damage to a minion. Take damage from your cards to upgrade. Pretty easy to upgrade. Pretty easy to upgrade and not 7 mana like the bad Spellstones. And it's got Lifesteal, which synergizes perfectly with taking damage from your cards because it heals you back up. It's a good one. Oaken Summons. Yet another Druid card that recruits a minion that costs 4 or less. Like, you have to run almost like 10 4-cost cards in your Druid decks for how much they have this repetition effect of recruit. Because I have to imagine you're going to draw some of your 4-cost cards as well. So it's recruiting them if you're running this recruit Druid. But yeah, obviously good value. Obviously good value, right? If you're pulling a minion that costs 4, then that's worth 4 because it's a minion from your deck already. So assumingly you're running good statted minions, and you're just getting bonus armor cherry on top. It's good. Like this guy, right? Another Druid card, costs 4. Death Rattles, summon a copy of this minion in your deck. So that does both, right? That gives you unlimited 4s to recruit. And it gives you, the stats of Ascension. Plus bonus effect on top. Very good synergy between these two. Now the fact that this doesn't have taunt can be a problem. Can be a problem, right? The fact that this gains armor synergizes well, though, right? Because the opponent goes face, then you can get some trades with your tigers. I'll be interested to see if this can work. if this type of synergy can work. 3 attack. 3 attacks, enough to deal with a lot of the tempo or aggro decks that are out there right now. And if you're gaining the armor, you might have enough life to be able to do these shenanigans. I'm interested to see if it works. I thought it was empty, yeah. Yeah, that's a big word on the Druid weapon, the full crystals. Cursed Disciple, 4 mana, 5/1, Death Rattle, summon a 5/1. So we saw this a bit yesterday in the reveal stream. It's good with the Jungle Giants Druid quest, right? A lot of the cards that they're revealing are synergizing, trying to bring back the quest from Ngoro, because these two sets are from the same year, so they're going to be around even after the rotation of decks next year. So synergizes with the Ngoro quests. That's all that's to be said about this. It's obviously bad. It's only got 2 health. It's 4-drop with 2 health. But you get quest completion if you're running Druid quest. I don't know why it's even a neutral card. This should be a Druid card. Dustbreaker, 3/3 dragon, 4 cost. Blah. If you're holding a dragon, deal 3 to all other minions. Going to be about in just every priest deck because it's super overpowered. It kills almost any aggro deck that exists in the current meta. Just blah. And it gives you body. And it gives you dragon synergy. Insane card. So this one, yeah, we're going to be opening Twig of the World Tree and Dustbreaker for those 2 classes to be running. And I'm actually going to be building some of those decks here later in the stream. I'm going to build 1 for each class, and you bet I'm going to be using those in the Druid and Priest decks we build. Ebon Dragonsmith. Reduce the cost of a random weapon in your hand by 2. Interesting, right? Now that every class has a weapon, you can make neutral cards like this that aren't bad. 3/4. I mean, you compare this effect with the one next to it, and there's no comparison. This minion is just better. This one has 1 more health, but it reduces a weapon by 1 instead of doing 3 to everything. Not that great. Elven Minstrel is a rogue. Combo, draw 2 minions from your deck. Powerful effect. Draw specifically minions. Sometimes your minions do good things. Right? Like, I'm thinking even if you're running like a miracle type rogue, what if you haven't found your auctioneers yet? Well, just combo this guy and you will. Right? You can find your auctioneers or your Edwin Van Cleef or your questing adventurer, that type of stuff. Maybe you're, a N'Zoth deck and you're looking for him. Or you're looking to fill your board with Death Rattles. It's a card that's very flexible to fit into different archetypes. Veldori Strider. This is the 4 mana card that Rogue was looking for too. It's very telling that they put these 2 Rogue only cards at the same mana slot, because Rogue was struggling to find 4 mana cards they were wanting to play. I think this one's just better. The Elven Minstrel may just not see play because this card exists. Now it's a higher rarity. It's going to be harder to get, but this is another one that we're going to build our deck around tonight for Rogue. Shuffle 3 ambushes into your deck. When drawn, summon a 4/4 spider. So this already has okay stats for 4. If you summon 1 spider, it's super value. Let alone 2 spiders, 3 spiders. It's a 16/16 for 4. That's a little delayed, but that's nuts. That's a nutsy good 4-drop to add to that spot that Rogue was already weak in. This one, neutral dragon, 4 mana 5/6. Death Rattle, give your opponent 2 coins. Really interesting card. This is probably my favorite, neutral common. Usually those are filler cards. But I like the dragon's synergy. I like the stats on it. Right, we're going to learn. We're going to learn if anybody tries this card just how bad giving your opponent 2 coins is. If they're top decking, it's not bad at all. But if they're able to, tempo out a giant play, it's bad. Hooked Reaver. 4 mana, 4/4 demon. Battle cry, if you have 15 or less health, gain +3/+3 and taunt. So it becomes the infamous 4 mana 7/7 of Shaman Fame, but 4 Warlock without overload, as a demon, and with taunt. So you're talking about some major power creep here. Now it does have another conditional, if you have 15 or less health. Almost impossible to get there by turn 4. So it's not like a curve play. It's like a later in the game play, which mitigates its 4 mana advantage. Makes it a little awkward. It's very strong stats for the cost, if you get the effect. But is it enough of effect? If it gets resurrected by the Warlock Decay, it no longer has these stats and taunt. So you even want to be resurrecting a 4/4. Very weird one. And it says how much the game has power creeped over the years, that you're like, 4 mana 7/7, is that worth? I don't know if it is. Another 4 mana. So this is another one that's for Druid, that they can pull from their deck, that they can recruit. And it's taunt. You can only attack if you have 3 or more armor. That's a requirement to upgrade their overpowered spellstone, though. So lots of times I think you're going to be able to hit that requirement. And this one actually is just better than Senjin, because it's got the taunt keyword already in. It's got more health. Power creeped up. Pretty good card. Kobold Illusionist. Summon a 1/1 copy of a minion from your hand. You got Malagos in your hand. That's pretty good. Well, this is a Death Rattle, right? If this was Battle Cry, then you'd be cooking. As a Death Rattle, the opponent can just say, "Hey, I'm gonna kill this, and I have 1 damage left over. A ping or a spell or anything to just deal with whatever comes out," and then it does nothing. I think this card is too weak, right? It's got a total of 4 health. It's a 3/4 for 4. If your opponent's playing smartly at all, they'll play around this. Won't be a problem. Kobold Monk. Your hero can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. Now, isn't that interesting? I wish that this card had more durability to it, right? That it couldn't just be Shadow Word Pained, and then the opponent can continue their void forming face. Just continue right along with their face strategy. Yeah. I don't think it's powerful enough to have the effect that you wanted. Right? Like, let's say you're against an Exodia Mage. They just use their first fireball on this guy. That's all they're doing. They're fireballing this guy, and then they continue to combo face, just like the priest hits it a couple times or pains it and continues with their strategy. So it's like, it's good text. The game, I think, needs this text. But I don't think this monk ever gets the job done. I don't think it defeats the late game combos that it's designed to do. Okay. Leyline Manipulator. For Mage, Battle Cry, if you're holding any cards that didn't start in your deck, reduce their cost by 2. Overpowered. This already has the stats of a Yeti with the elemental tag, and the effect just sort of makes people run random spells in their mage, because that's what every mage card is incentivizing this expansion. And by reducing their cards by 2, that can make even, traditionally spells that were thought of as bad good, right? Like 2 cost Cone of Cold, I'd run in that my deck. Combine that with a 0 cost Shatter, sure, why not? Yeah, this is scary. This is scary good. That's probably our mage card to build around. Shimmering Courser. Only you can target this with spells and hero powers. I'm glad they finally put a card like this in the game, right? The base game had immunity with Fairy Dragon, which was the start of immune to spells and hero powers. And this one's like, okay, but we're still going to let you buff it. If you control this minion, you can buff it. The opponent just can't mess with it. So it's understated, but it is a beast. It is a beast. What does that mean? They're wanting you to put this in Druid, and it's another recruit for the Druid. It costs 4. But what are you really wanting to target this with in Druid? Maybe some of the old school buffs? Some like Mark of the Wild shenanigans? That's a very strange one. What else could you do with it? Hunter? Is there any spells you're wanting to cast on it? Not really. It's weird. Weird that it has this beast tag and also the recruit tag for Druid. But we should try something with it if we open it. The Shroom Brewer. Battle Cry, restore 4 health. Pretty good. Pretty just darn good. Because you can restore this health to anything. Anything includes your other minions, your face. You could use like Auchenai or Embrace the Shadow on Priest and do this to an enemy. The enemy's face, the other enemy's minions. It's a cool little dude. It might be too late in Hearthstone's development for it to be powerful enough, but this would see all sorts of play in classic Hearthstone. And that's common, so everybody's going to have it. Cool card. Certainly in the arena. Sneaky Devil. 4 mana, 2/2 demon, neutral. Neutral demons. Sack Pact finally gets value against non-warlocks. But it's got stealth. So you're going to have trouble hitting it. Your other minions have +1 attack. Raid Leader, +1 mana, plus stealth. Usually stealth isn't worth a full mana. So probably no good. The Darkness. 4 mana, 20/20, guys. This card is cool, right? Just starting off with that. 4 mana, neutral, 20/20. But it does start dormant. Battlecry is shuffle 3 candles into the enemy deck. When drawn, this awakens. So this is a super interesting effect as well. Right? You're wanting your opponent to draw cards. so that this awakens. You're also not wanting your opponent to overdraw, because if they overdraw the candles, I don't think he can awaken. Right? They've nullified this card. Now you've only spent 4 mana on this card, but he does take up a spot on your board. And you're wanting them to become active. So like you can't overdraw the opponent with the opponent even trying to overdraw themselves to get rid of a candle. It's super interesting. Trying to think of a cool way to use it. You know, one of the things that would be great about it is to use this with the copy guys. The 4/4 that summons a copy of your minion that has taunt, and the just the 5 mana Faceless Manipulator that copies a guy. So that even if it can't attack, the first turn it becomes active, you can make copies of it, which you know, hopefully runs your opponent out of removal. I don't think it's a good card, but it's a very interesting one. It sort of prevents people from running really fast draw decks, right? Like if they're running something like the Exodia Mage or the Highlander Priest and stuff, there's a high likelihood that they actually draw into these candles because they have so many draw cards in their deck. It's interesting. Certainly gets me thinking and talking. Dragon Soul. 3 mana, 0/3. Okay, that's a cheap one. If you're going to have a legendary weapon, it might as well be cheap so that you get less affected by ooze. After you cast 3 spells in a turn, summon a 5/5 dragon. Now that's still going to be tough because you spend 3 mana on the weapon and then you've got to cast 3 more spells to get 1 5/5 dragon. I feel like it's still not worth. It's still not worth. You're having to use 4 cards to summon a 5/5 dragon. Is that really worth 4 cards? Only if this card sticks around. Only if it doesn't get oozed, which I think is impractical to think it's going to happen. I think it's bad. Unidentified Maul, Paladin Weapon, gains the effects of Divine Shield, Taunt, 2 recruits, and +1 attack. Summon 2 recruits is always good, even if you're behind. So it's got a 1 of 4 of always being good. All of the others, yes, every single other one requires you to have board control, which I'm not so hot on. Sort of same idea as the warrior one. The unidentified shield. You can't count on this to have the effect you want. And some of them are obviously not as good as the others. Like if your minion's taunt, I don't think it's great. If you've got a bunch of minions that are going to get the effect, you might as well, you know, have +1 attack on them or divine shield on them than this garbage. Not great. Explosive Ruins is amazing. So like it's a really weird take by the mage. All their cards are like benefiting from randomness or encouraging randomness. Besides this one. This one says you're guaranteed to get 6 damage to your opponent or their minions. Just guaranteed. It's the least playable around secret Blizzard's ever made. This you play something, and it's going to die, or it's going to tank all the damage, or you're going to hit it for all the damage. Like, this is such a reliable secret. That's like, if it's good, it just gets put in every deck. Because it's just a 3-mana fireball. It literally is. It's a 3-mana fireball that can be cheated out. Mage has multiple ways to play secrets for 0. 0-mana fireball that can also go face. It's just good. It's just a no-brainer. You put that in your deck if you open it. Healing Rain. Shaman, restore 12 health, divided randomly among all friendly characters. The language on this one is a little bit vague. I wonder if anyone's explained it in the comments. Right, like, is this trying to restore health randomly among targets that are already full health? Or does it specifically target the injured ones? I mean, it says randomly. Yeah. Might waste healing by healing a minion at full health. That's what I think too. Yeah. This card with the text, like this guy Wood Elf is saying, is going to waste a lot of the healing on the card. And so it's not going to heal anything near 12. If it only heals damaged characters, it's good. Heal 12 for 3 is some good value. But if it's just healing, your face for 2 and all your full health minions for 10 when they're not missing any health, it's a complete waste. Primal Talismans from Shaman as well. Give your minions Death Rattle, summon at random basic totem. Basically a way to ensure either Bloodlust or the guy that summons Alakir if you have all the basic totems. As simple as that. It's also momentum onto the board. The other one, the Spirit Echo, returns stuff to your hand, and you have to spend mana to recast it. This just summons stuff to the board immediately. So it's the best. It's the best tempo resummon, I guess. Reckless Flurry, Warrior, Epic. Spend all your armor, deal that much damage to all minions. Really interesting card. It can obviously save your butt, right? It can save your butt. It can also cause you to lose games, I'd imagine, because you lose all your armor. Lots of times a control warrior is just trying to build up armor so that even if they go to fatigue, they're going to win because they have more health. This gives away that advantage. If you're ever spending all your armor, all that hard work you've done all game is gone. Yeah, this card's either going to be like really played or really not played. Probably the higher the incidences of warrior being played, the less this gets played, because you're going to want to outlast the other warrior. And you're not going to want this card in your deck. Twilight's Call. Summon 1/1 copies of 2 friendly Death Rattle minions that died this game. I've seen some people call this weak. I think it's strong. Lots of Priest Death Rattles are like around 1/1 in stats anyway. And this resummons them to complete your quest for Amara. Again, they're trying to incentivize people to play quests. Yeah, that means you've played at least 2 Death Rattles. It's going to summon at least 2 more. You're more than halfway done with your quest. That's good enough for me. Especially since those 1/1s like draw cards from the opponent's deck. They do useful things. Draw cards from your own deck. Same with the Unidentified Elixir. I think it's the best of the Unidentifieds. Plus 2/2. Sure, it's not worth 3. But I think all the bonus effects are good here. Let's see. Yeah, Death Rattle, return this minion to your hand. That's value. Give it Lifesteal. That's the only one that might not be value if you're at full health. But hey, if I've got minions on my board that I'm buffing and giving lifesteal, and I'm at full health, I'm just feeling peachy. Divine Shield, always going to be good. Summon a 1/1 copy of it. That can be deadly if you get that on the right minion. Get that on the right minion, even just like a Northshire Cleric. You get to summon multiple cards a turn. It's something like Velen, you quadruple the power of your spells. Yikes. Yeah. This is the 1 in 4 that might be the most powerful of them all. I like this elixir. At worst, it's a 5 mana, do 2 to all. Injustice, yeah. Injustice brings up the Reckless Flurry. 5 mana, deal 2 to all. That's not worth, right? Consecration was in the base game, and it deals 2 to just enemies for 4, and doesn't spend, your health, or your armor in this case. So that's not worth. Not worth, rather. I mean, this expansion has a lot of cards which give you armor, and so it's easily to see that you can use this as like a 5 damage AoE, which is powerful. But then maybe that's what you're using your armor for, right? You're choosing to spend your armor on this board clear instead of running weapons in your deck, or instead of playing for fatigue damage and that type of stuff. You're just choosing with your warrior to say, hey, my armor's there to clear with the Reckless Flurry. The Malevolent Shin. At the end of your turn, restore 3 health to your hero, 2/4 elemental. They're trying to push more on Goro synergy with the elementals. Tons of them in this expansion. It's time to try your elemental decks again, you guys, for almost every class. Not much to that card, though. Not much to that card. That would help you against like a purely face hunter, but we're not seeing many of those around. Be decent against an aggro druid, which there are a decent amount of around. So if you run into aggro druids, the Benevolent Chin, be a consideration. Boisterous Bard, 3 mana, 3/2. So bad stats. Battlecry, give your other minions +1 health. So this is the same stats as the nerfed Shattered Sun Cleric. Shattered Sun Cleric used to be a 3/3. They nerfed it to 3/2. But it gives your another minion of your choosing +1/+1. So this has to hit at least 2 minions to be equal, if not more. I mean, if it's hitting more, you're not playing it on curve. It's just bad. It's just a filler. I mean, move past it. Cave Hydra. Hunter. 3 mana, 2/4. Not the best stats, but is a beast. And it damages the minions next to whomever this attacks. So that effect gets strikingly better with each attack point you put on it. Considering that this is right before you cast Houndmaster on 4, yeah, this is a great minion. It's a common, so everybody's going to have it, even the free-to-play players. And Houndmaster's a base card. So this goes to a 4/6. And then it pretty much attacks in and blows up your board. It's a nasty card. I like this guy. Dragon Slayer. 3 mana, 4/3. Okay. Battlecry deals 6 damage to a dragon. Strange. I want to say that's a strange effect. Like, a lot of the dragons in this game, at least the ones that are played, have like 8 and 12 HP. So it's called a Dragon Slayer, but it doesn't even slay the dragon. I mean, there's some new ones here that have like 3 HP, but then it's just overkill on them. I guess if it was in the meta, it would stop people from him running like Cobalt Scalebane, or people would probably still play Draconid Operative, but it would be a pretty good counter to that. Weird, though. Weird. I doubt there's enough dragons for this to be worth playing. And if there is, it's not going to kill a lot of them. Yeah, the Cobalt Scalebane. Yeah, that's the big one in the meta right now that it would kill. Potion of Madness on a lot of these minions, yeah. A lot of the minions in this expansion have pretty low attack values because of cards like this one. I feel, right? They made a neutral legendary which recruits low attack minions. You know, like, look at these minions. They cost 5. Look at all of these. This whole row. Costing 5 with 1 and 2 attack. Yeah, they went a little hard on that theme this expansion. Okay. Fungal Enchanter. 3 mana, 3/3. Battlecry, restore 2 health to all friendly characters. Cool. It splits up the healing if you want your healing split, right? It's got the same stats as an Earthen Ring Farseer. It restores 1 less health to a specific target, but if you have multiple injured friendly characters, it's better. If you're wanting to heal a minion and yourself, but it does make it more situational, which I feel means harder to use, less likely to catch on. Gilded Gargoyle, Priest. 3 mana, 2/2. Death Rattle, add a coin to your hand. Oh god. So these are weak stats, but I think this is actually a really powerful effect. Right, the most powerful priest this expansion has been the Shadow Reaper and 1/1, and it really benefits. That tech really benefits. It sometimes runs stuff like Auctioneer. It sometimes runs stuff like Lyra, and then plus getting like its Raza Anduin on curve is really powerful. So if you can ramp them towards those plays with coins, or give them additional spells to tinker with coins, additional draws, all that stuff is pretty darn powerful in that deck. So this is actually pretty scary. I don't know if it gets played if there's a lot of priests, because again, that Potion of Madness issue. Potion of Madness is going to be a really good spell this expansion. But yeah, just the thought of having to play around, you know, one of those priests with coins or even multiple coins in their hand, it's like, well, I don't know if I can play a 5 attack minion, because I don't know if he's going to Anduin me on turn 5 or turn 6, you know. Same thing with like Dragonfire Potion, really early in the game. This is a little scary. Greedy Sprite. Death Rattle. Gain an empty mana crystal. 3/1. Obviously, it's got a health problem, but you're kind of wanting it to die with that Death Rattle. So it having high attack is all you can really wish for. It adds even more ramp to Druid. I wasn't sure they needed more ramp. Perhaps they're putting this in for the rotation. When Jades rotate out, this will fill the spot of the Jade Blossom. Apparently Blizzard's decided that they want ramp to be a permanent feature of Druid. I think it's a weaker one. I think it brings the power level down from, Jade Blossom. And I like that. Kobold Apprentice, 3 mana, 2/1. Wow, talk about bad stats. It's worse than this guy. It's worse than the sprites. Battle Cry, deal 3 damage, randomly split among all enemies. Oh, it's a Mad Bomber for an extra mana for 2 less stats that can't hit your own face or minions. I don't feel like that's worth it all. The cool thing about Mad Bomber in the base game was that he was a comeback mechanic. Your opponent plays a couple 1-health creatures, and you have a chance to high roll and clear it all up, and have a minion that wasn't pingable. Like this is worse stats than a lot of 1-drops, and it's still randomly split damage that could all go face. Don't like it. Cobalt Barbarian, 3 mana, 4/4. At the start of your turn, attack a random enemy. This I don't think is as bad as people would think. It may not be enough stats, because there are 3 mana, 4/4s in the game now, other than this one. But I think you pay less for this penalty than you'd think. Right, if you're a warrior, if you're controlling the board with your weapons, then this is just going face, and you want it to go face, and that's fine. Similarly, on turn 3 is when you're wanting to play a lot of board control. So this trades into something, right? It's usually going to trade pretty favorably with 4 health. You're pretty fine with that too. I like this guy. I'm not sure in the current meta if it's enough. It may have needed another stat point. But I like him. Just to show that attacking a random enemy can be just fine. That text on the card. Lone Champion, 3 mana, 2/4. If you control no other minions, gain Taunt and Divine Shield. I think this is just a weaker Tar Creeper. I like it. Ravaging Coal Mana, 3 mana, 1-drop, 1/3. Battlecry, return one of your destroyed weapons to your hand. Not good enough. If people are running weapon removal, they'll probably run more than one, especially if this card ever sees play. And if it ever sees play, you're paying a massive price by putting a 1-drop in your deck for 3. And you're still going to have to pay the mana to play your weapon again. And it could get removed again. I mean, I'm glad they try to do something to counter weapon removal, but making it this weak isn't going to cut it. Sewer Crawler. 3 mana, 1/1. Summon a 2/3 giant rat. Nope. Same as the filler card. Razorfen Hunter is what this card is. It's a reprinted Razorfen Hunter from the base game. Shrieking Shroom. At the end of your turn, summon a random 1-cost minion. 1/2, not strong enough. Not strong enough for 3 mana. I mean, at the end of your turn is good, but that summons you another 1-cost minion. You could still have the total stats of 1-cost minion for 3, even after this goes off once. Not good enough. Sony Shadow Dancer, 3 mana, 2/2. After Rogue Legendary. After a friendly minion dies, add a 1/1 copy of it to your hand. It costs 1. That's sweet. That's just sweet. You get to play this when you're planning to trade, and then when you trade, you get hella value. You get a bunch of cool stuff that costs 1. Just good. Just good. It sort of fits into the rogue game plan where you control what's happening in the game with spells like Backstab and the hero power like your dagger. It's like they're playing stuff into you. And if they're playing minions into you because they're behind, and you get to trade using this Sonya, you're going to get a bunch of extra value, which rogues sort of lacking, right? Often they lack card draw or stuff in their hands these days with the tempo rogues. And this gives you more of that. More of that value. Very good. I hope I open it. Stoneskin Basilisk, Divine Shield, Poisonous Beast, 1/1 for 3. Well, that's annoying, isn't it? I think this is deceptively good. It's like a common pack filler, but it isn't. Right? Even if you have a ping hero power, you got to send something into this thing. And oftentimes you're not going to want to. Super annoying. The best thing you can do against this, I guess, is have a bunch of like Silverhand recruits. Anything else is going to struggle. Ah, okay. Okay, Patches is going to help a lot with this. So while Patches is still in the meta, aggro decks will have a way to deal with this. Otherwise, you're in a bit of a pickle. This mini is deceptively good, I think, especially when the rotation comes and Patches leaves. Toothy Chest. Start of your turn, set this minion's attack to 4. So it's just a validated Doomsayer. Maybe 1 health point stronger than the validated Doomsayer was, but still not strong enough to run this card. Because it keeps resetting its attack. First of all, it's the start of your turn, so the enemy gets to attack and move it for free. Or remove it for free. And then on turns after that, if you buff it, it doesn't get the buff. Its attack will keep going down to 4. Not good. Man, there's a lot of cards in this expansion, you guys. For the rogue weapon, it keeps enchantments. Yeah, I don't think we've gone over that one yet, but that's going to be sick. Twilight Acolyte. Okay, Priest. 2/4. If you're holding a dragon, swap this minion's attack with another minion's. So at first I thought you're going to use this to buff up like your Northshire Cleric or your Netherspite Historian, whatever. Your little 1 attack minions that you run in a dragon deck, which could be good. It gives you the initiative with the 2 attack, a little bit of surprise factor. But it's also really good late game because you just swap this with any enemy minion, and the enemy minion becomes Potion of Madnessable. It becomes Cabal Shadow Priestable, right? Shadowward Horrible, because it's another minions. I was neglecting the fact that this can target enemy minions, which makes it a super good late game card. Right? You just want to steal your enemy's Ysera or anything. Anything. Their Lich King, their Deathwing. This dude lets you do it. He's OP. Hell yeah, the Stealing Acolyte. He's only 3 mana, so you can fit in all those other answers as well after you do them. Void Ripper, 3 mana, 3/3, Demon, Battlecry, swap the attack and health of all other minions. Cool effect, but they've tinkered with this type of effect before. Boss fights and crazed alchemist effects, and they've never really caught on. So I don't expect it to be played. It'd be a surprise if it was. Soul of the Gorgon. 3 mana 2/2. Choose a friendly minion, add a golden copy of it to your hand. Not as good as the rogue specific legendary, but similar idea. Similar idea. This one doesn't actually has a copy, so it isn't 1/1. That's an advantage in that way, but doesn't cost 1, which is a disadvantage. But I could see it seeing play. Hell yeah. People love golden cards. People love multiple copies of their other crazy legendaries or minions. Bladed Gauntlet, epic for warrior, has armor, has attack equal to your armor. Can't attack heroes. Really weird weapon, right? Because it's got 2 charges, but when you hit into something, you're going to lose a bunch of your attack. If you play that other warrior spell that does an AoE and gets rid of your armor, this will be back down to 0. If you're hitting with this first, so it's not at 0, the AoE isn't going to be as powerful. A very negative synergy with the other warrior card that they're releasing. And usually you don't expect that from Blizzard, to be having within one single card set cards that negatively synergize with each other. But that's what this Gauntlet and Reckless Fury do to each other. Cheat Death for Rogue. Secret. I love that they're getting secrets. I'm going to want to try a secret Rogue. Oh my god, where to build Rogue first. I'm just so excited about it, right? I've got the Valera emote in this channel, and I love all the new cards they're getting. I can't wait to try it. I hope we open some good Rogue legendaries on Thursday. Cheat Death. This is a common. We'll have it for sure. When a friendly minion dies, return it to your hand. It costs 2 less. Yes. Yes. That's tempo, guys. That's a lot of tempo. Having your 1 mana SI, your 1 mana Van Cleef. I like it. Crushing Hand. It's a shaman card. 2 mana. Deal 8 damage to a minion. Overload 3. Obviously very unnecessary on turn 2. You don't need to do 8 damage. But conceivably very good in the late game, right? Opponent tries to like Alexstrasza you, or I don't know what else they're casting. You coon you, or you just lay the hammer down on it. I like it. I mean, it's not great because it ends up costing 5 in total. But some decks you want to overload in, and doing 8 damage is fun, so I don't mind it. Another Rogue Secret, Evasion. This one's epic. So this one's going to be hard to open. It's epic like Ice Block, but it has a similar effect. After your hero takes damage, become immune this turn. Pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. You're going to be able to prevent a lot of lethals with this. And when you have extra turns as a rogue, you can often come up with a lot of burst, right? If you're running Leroy, if you're running Shadow Steps, if you're running Cold Bloods, even if you're running, Malagos and Eviscerates, or Sinister Strikes, or, Gadget Zan, an extra turn to find Vanish, prep Vanish, or you can do all sorts of shenanigans with Rogue if you get extra turns. And I think this card allows you to do it a lot. And so it's going to be a powerful one. The Paladin, Summoning Stone, Lesser Pearl Spellstone, summon a 2/2 Spirit with Taunt, restore 3 health to upgrade, and it becomes a 4/4 Taunt, and then it becomes a 6/6 Taunt, just 1 minion you get from it. Okay. I mean, it doesn't cost 7. So it could see play. Same thing with this one. The 2 mana from Lessie Ruber Spellstone for a mage. Add 1 random mage spell to your hand. Play 2 elementals to upgrade. So it forces you to play elementals. But if you do, you get a bunch of those random spells that the other cards are encouraging you to play with mage. Yeah, man. I feel the worst about mage this expansion. They're like pigeonholing them. You're going to be playing random spells, and you're going to be playing elementals, okay? You're going to be playing one archetype for the next 5 months. Okay. Potion of Heroism. 2 mana paladin spell. Give a minion divine shield and draw a card. Powerful effect, right? You can pair this to something like Power Word Shield. It has that cycle effect, and this is giving a divine shield instead of +2 health. +2 health is probably better on turns 1 and 2. And obviously that costs less mana as well, so it's a lot better on the early turns. But this is a lot better late game. You give something with, 5 or more, attack, health, that type of thing, a divine shield. And that's worth a lot more than, the +2 health. Oh, it's not bad. Sudden Betrayal. Another rogue secret. When a minion attacks your hero, instead it attacks one of its neighbors. This is another common one. And what I love about this one is it's the exact same trigger as the evasion. Right? They have the exact same trigger, which is when a minion... Oh, this one isn't... This one's after your hero takes damage, so I guess you could play around them differently. Okay. So there's some way to play around them, so I don't love it as much. But if the opponent is attacking you with minions, right, they're going to want to attack with their biggest minion first in order to do the most damage before you become immune, and they can't hit you with anything else. And if they attack with their biggest minion, and it's this one, their biggest minion kills their other minions, right? And nothing's attacking face. The big minion hit your other minion and killed your other minion. And now it's not attacking anything. And it's a mess. So I like the synergy between these two. Wandering Monster. 2 mana. Hunter Secret. When an enemy attacks your hero... Man, they like this trigger, huh? They like this trigger word. Summon a 3-cost minion as a new target. Really good. All of the secrets they're releasing in this one are really good. Which is going to put a tax on tech cards for sure. Right? People are going to be wanting to run weapon removal. And now they're kind of want to run secret removal as well. Because rogues are an additional class with secrets. Mage is getting an explosive runes, which is OP. Hunter's getting this freaking Wandering Monster that's OP. Right? You're paying 2 mana for a secret that not only prevents damage to you, but summons a 3-cost creature. 2 for 3. Hell yeah. Okay, another rogue common. So everybody's going to have this card. 2 mana, 3/1. Honestly, those aren't the worst smirking stats. You don't want 1 health. But I can dig it. Often rogues just hero power on 2. So having something to do other than hero power is nice. And it draws a weapon from your deck. So we should just talk about this weapon right now, the King's Bane. It's the rogue's legendary weapon. Death Rattle, shuffle this into your deck. It keeps any enhancements. I don't know why it's called enchantments, because it's any buff you've put on it. Any buff you've put on it all game, it keeps reshuffling into your deck when it dies after 3 swings. So it's obviously another one, like the Druid one, that's pretty immune to removal. And you can never get rid of this thing for sure. And if the opponent's playing this, they're gonna draw it a lot of times too. It's not like you can kill this off the first time and it's at the bottom of the deck. It's getting resummoned every time they get one of these. And that's some cool synergy, man. That's some cool synergy. Even this weapon, when it's not buffed, right, is 1 mana, so it's cheaper than your hero power, and it has an extra durability. So even over the base dagger, if you don't have any enchantments on it, it's value. And then with the ability to play it a bunch of times and enchant it a bunch of times with this card, I think it's pretty fancy. I think that's an archetype we're going to try and make tonight and play on Thursday, if we're lucky enough to get the Kingsbane. One sec, guys. I need a little break to get some water and stuff. I think we're almost finished with this, and then we'll build some decks. Hey, I'm back, guys. Thanks. Hey, Injustice. Yeah, you would use it in a rogue. Yeah, I'm getting really excited about making these decks. Do you guys have any preferences on which classes that you'd like to see me build first? I definitely want to build rogue because it's one of my favorites. But we're going to build all of them. It's just if people want to see what they want to see first. And of course, on Thursday, I'm going to be streaming earlier than my scheduled time. Basically, as soon as I can in the afternoon, in order to open the packs and get to playing. And if there's any decks that you guys have made that you want me to play, I'll be up for that too. We play follower decks almost every day on this channel. Okay. Let's finish this. We've got a Dry Gulch Jailer. 2 mana 1/1, Death Rattle, add 3 Silver Hand Recruits to your hand. So this is a card that looks terrible. And it probably is terrible because the Silver Hand Recruit still costs mana. But it has potential use with hand buffs. It has potential use with that the Golden Lion or whatever. That gets cheaper for every recruit you play. So I guess that technically makes the recruits free. The Lion. I just don't think it's tier 1. I think you could put it in a rank 20 deck and win. I don't think it's winning or above like rank 10. Dry Whisker Armor. Warrior 2 mana 2/2. For each enemy minion gain 2 armor. That's awesome. That's just awesome, right? We're seeing how much the warrior needs armor in this expansion, both for their weapons and their board clears. And this gives it, at the cost of 1 stat point, you get this battle cry that can give you up to 14 armor. Hell yeah, that's worth. What a great card. And in the common slot, everybody will have it. Kobold Hermit, 2 mana 1/1. Summon a basic totem. I mean, you get to choose a basic totem. So it helps you with your totem RNG and shaman. But it's also a really weak body. Look at that. It's a stat weaker than the awesome warrior one. And I think the effect is less awesome. A basic totem instead of a bunch of armor. Murmuring Elemental, another shaman, 2 mana 1/1. It's like they're trying to run themselves into maelstrom portals, right? Like the shaman's trying to nerf their evolves. They're trying to get killed in the mirror. Shaman's not getting much help this expansion, I don't think. But this guy is an elemental at least. And his battle cry is your next battle cry this turn triggers twice. So he's just a little helper. It's spend 2 mana to get another minion's battle cry twice. I don't think that's good enough. I heard Crypt today comparing this to Bran, but they're in no way the same. Bran was a recurring effect, not a battle cry. It was, while Bran's in play, he's going to mess you up because every battle cry is going to trigger twice. This is 1 time only and on a 1/1 minion. That doesn't matter. So no, it's nowhere close. Plated Beetle, 2 mana 2/3 beast, River Crocolisk with Death Rattle gain 3 armor. Just better. Good enough to see play? No, I don't think so. Maybe. Beast. They're trying to push this in Druid again, huh? Does it ever make a Druid deck? Maybe. Maybe it makes a Druid deck. But I wouldn't be excited about it. I would not be excited about it at all. Raven Familiar. 2 mana 2/2 beast for Mage. Reveal a spell in each deck. If yours costs more, draw it. Great effect. Love the card. I think I've talked about this card 3 times now. How much I love it. Common, everybody will have it. Good stuff. Scorpomatic. A mech. They're taking us all the way back to GVG with this card, you guys. They're still putting in mechs. Got the stats of a 1-drop, but its battles try to destroy a minion with 1 or less attack. Is super cool. That's actually hitting a lot of things in this pack. Let me see what the strongest thing it is that it hits that we've gone over so far. Oh, this guy. Rip this guy, right? I doubt he's going to see play anyway. But the Truglu meter costs 5, and he'd kill him. Anything else in here? This poor weapon guy, right? The guy that returns your destroyed weapons to your hand. Yeah. Ooh, the Basilisk. Okay. So this is a counter to this guy. This guy's definitely the most value you'd get out of it. You'd cast your little scorpion guy for 2, and you'd counter their 3-drop that is both poisonous and divine shield in a beast. You know, scorpion that guy. Okay. Not as many targets as I was expecting it to hit. So probably just arena. But it hits old school targets that are still played, right? This hits like Mana Worm from Mage. This hits Northshire Cleric from Priest. Those are pretty big. Is there anything else that's really important? I guess it hits stuff like Meat Wagon if you'd want to hit that. Oh my gosh, it hits Doomsayer, you guys. That's huge. Preventing like a freeze mage from getting off a Doomsayer with this. Obviously, you get an extra stat if you run Crazed Alchemist instead to counter Doomsayer, which some people do. But this also being able to hit the Mana Worms, the Northshire Clerics, probably makes it better. I'm more excited about this now. The Scorpomatic is going to see some play, you guys. The Scorpomatic. One of my call-outs from this review. Cool card. Vulgar Homunculus. 2/4 demon with taunt. Costs 2. Taunt. Battle cry, deal 2 damage to your hero. Early enough in the game that you can get away with the battle cry. It buffs up your spell stones. Gets you closer to casting that 4 mana 7/7 taunt. It resummons taunts with Warlock DK. It's good. Candle Shot. 1 mana 1/3 hunter weapon. Immune while attacking. I don't mind it. I've seen this made fun of because it's got less durability than Light's Justice, which was really only seen played when it was muster for battle. So yeah, probably not constructed worthy, but the effect in the arena is super strong. Being able to ping stuff, especially not taking any damage for it. And just being able to ping stuff in general, right? In a class that doesn't have a hero power that does that is good. Hunter doesn't have many 1-drops right now. Like, what are you wanting to run? Alley Cats? Heck, I'll run a Candle Shot into some Alley Cats as well. Takes them out, still has another charge. Didn't take any damage. It's not as bad as people would expect. Is it a great card? Absolutely not. Let's see any play? Maybe not. But it's not a terrible card. We already talked about the King's Bane. I'm going to build a deck with that shortly. It also hits Doomsayer. Yeah, Injustice. That's a very key point with that one. Scorpomatic. Okay, Druid, 1 mana, Bark Skin. Give a minion +3 health and gain 3 armor. That's a lot of stuff for 1 mana. I have to imagine that's good. Right? You're going to be able to trade into almost anything with a +3 health buff. Warlock, Dark Pact, 1 mana. Destroy a friendly minion. Restore 8 health to your hero. Usually you don't want to destroy a friendly minion. Sometimes it could be okay. I think it's mostly for the heal. I said Warlock needs some healing with all this self-damage that they do. And maybe that's true. I think this is a good card. I think this is a cool card. I love the health manipulation that Warlock has in this game. And so, yeah, if you want to be, flirting with death with your life taps, and then boom, get this sudden burst of HP. Especially if you cast this on like a, what is the 1-drop the control Warlocks are running right now? It's the guy that spills jars of healing, that heals both heroes for 4. That's the Restore 12 with this for 2 mana. It's cool. I like it. For some reason, Druid's getting all the best 1 cost friggin' spells. This one, deal 2 damage to a minion, gain 3 armor to upgrade. You can upgrade it with this. It becomes a 6 mana fireball. It becomes a 1 mana fireball to deal 6 damage if you just gain 6 armor. And that's really strong. Really, really strong. Gesture Spellsplit's only a rare, so I'm easily going to be able to test these early and show how OP they are. Psionic Probe, 1 mana, Priest, so it's more, Lyra fuel, more gadgets and fuel for priests for 1 mana. A 0 with Radiant Elemental. More fuel for their shenanigans. And it even copies a spell and adds it to your hand, which is a very beneficial effect if you're going off with one of those combos. Shaman, 1 mana, Unstable Evolution. Transform a friendly minion into one that costs 1 more, repeatable this turn. So in general, it's not worth paying a mana to transform into a random. Right? Usually you're wanting to spend your mana crystals on constructed level cards, on the best cards in the game. We're going to spend, for one of that, not one of a random. Random can have really scary effects, but unlike what the card name is, Unstable Evolution, it's really stable. You use this to make sure you don't have an oopsie and evolve something that's really bad. It's like your save from other bad evolves. So I like it. You definitely run that in your evolved decks. Even if it's not mana efficient most of the time, it's going to save your butt from some 1/1s or some negative death rattle ones every once in a while. Arcane Artificer, 1 mana, 1/2 elemental mage. Whenever you cast a spell, gain armor equal to its cost. Finally, mages have armor in significant amounts with this card, which is really scary, right? They've already got Ice Block, they've already got Exodia. Now they've got a lot of armor from minions as well. Elemental minions that fuel the Spellstone. Whew. That's powerful. 1 mana, 1/3 beast, Dire Mole. Worst version of class 1-drops? No. 1 mana 1/1. Absolutely not. 1 mana 2/3. Okay, those are some more interesting stats, but Battlecry summon a random 1-cost minion for your opponent. Considerably worse. 1 mana 2/1, Battlecry, draw a card. Now that's value. That's a good one for Warlock. But it does deal 2 damage to your hero. Early enough in the game that you don't care, I'd play it. 1 mana 0/2, Elemental, Taunt, Divine Shield. That has enough keywords on it to probably see play. I don't know that it's any good, but the fact that it's 1 mana and an Elemental, and his Taunt, and Divine Shield, and 2 health, all adds up into something, right? Yeah. If you just buff this with a Direwolf Alpha, it becomes what? An Annoyatron. It's okay. Nothing to go crazy about, but a lot of keywords. Shifting Scroll, Mage. Each turn this is in your hand, transform it into a random mage spell. What a nightmare. What a friggin' nightmare. So it's just going to just sit there transforming until it gives, them their umpteenth Ice Block or Blizzard or Frost Nova or whatever. Firelands Portal. It's going to eventually get to something that does you dirty. Dirty mages. Alright. I think that's it for the card review. Now we're going to make some decks, you guys. Let's see what other people